I'm really at my wit's end here, and I don't know what to do about the situation. We've been married for 2 years. I'm working 3 jobs right now. Initially, I started working 2 jobs to save up some money so we can put a down payment on our house. But I noticed about 2 months in that she was spending the extra money that I had been making, mainly on clothes and shoes. This month, I've had a perfect storm. In the span of 30 days, I've been laid off at one job, getting a nice severance and buyout package. Started working 2 different jobs to replace the first one. Still maintaining the second job that I took back last year to have extra money. Between my severance and my 3 jobs, and some expenses that I had at my last job finally being paid, I've had about $20,000 worth of income this month. I went to buy gas tonight and my debit card was declined. I hop on my phone and check my bank account, and right now I'm $722.93 in the hole. The last few transactions were $1,250 for a Macy's account, something that I don't have access to nor do I use, $100 for hair, $70 for a mani-pedi, and $388.94 for her Dillard's card, same as the Macy's card. I've tried discussing things with her. Specifically, I've tried to talk her into living on a budget, but her response is something along the lines of, "I'm not going to live like my aunt who had to beg for money from her husband." She has her own job, but doesn't contribute financially. She cashes her paychecks and spends them at will. Finally, I was traveling 2 weeks ago and turned 31. While I got her a lot of nice gifts for her birthday, a new BMP to replace her ailing laptop, and a Tiffany's charm bracelet, I didn't get anything for my birthday because you were out with the boys having fun. As I work more to try to save up money, I become more and more empty on the inside. I just don't know what to do anymore, and I'm really confused on how I can deal with this in a positive way, or hedge my bets in a way that I don't get taken to task in divorce court. Are you freaking kidding me? As a female, I am appalled by her behavior. She clearly does not give 2 craps about how hard you work and will continue to use you as a sugar daddy. Did you have this sort of behavior before you got married? I would cut her off, open a new account and put all your money in there, and give her nothing. She'll learn the hard way, but it's probably the only way she'll learn. Leave her. She has no respect for you or the money you earn. If you don't want to go that route, then change the joint account to only you, or only put a portion of the money you earn in the joint account, and the rest in one you solely control. My husband and I were married 2 years and have a 3-year-old together. I caught him on Tinder very early in our marriage, and I forgave him, and was able to move on from it. He started acting off a couple months ago. He has bipolar disorder, untreated, so I thought he was having a manic episode or something. Suddenly, he was irritable and distant, and seemed to hate everything about me. He also started accusing me of cheating on him. He once even woke me up in the middle of the night to yell at me because he found lingerie from our wedding night on the floor after our toddler had been digging in our clothes. A couple weeks ago, he ended our marriage, saying that I never did anything to change or try to make it work, that I criticize him constantly and treat him badly. It was confusing. Just a few weeks ago, he told me he could never be happy without me. I was supposed to fly back home on Saturday, but I ended up having issues and canceling my flight. He was extremely pissed and started slamming doors and throwing things. It was upsetting. Well, yesterday it all came out. He was mad because he had invited a woman over to spend Thanksgiving with him, and she apparently gave him $130 to help pay for my plane tickets. I really didn't need to know more than that. This is obviously someone he's been seeing for a while if she's going to give him money to send his wife and child away. I'm so angry and upset. I couldn't sleep at all last night. I'm supposed to drive back to our hometown with him at Christmas and move in with my mom at that point. And he'll end up seeing his daughter a couple times a year and paying child support. Even though I know this wasn't a good relationship, he could be very emotionally at times, swearing at me, putting me down, blaming me for everything wrong in our relationship. I feel so abandoned and betrayed. I don't know how I'm going to make it living here for 2 months. I suspect I have issues with codependency. I feel like my world is falling apart. Does anyone have any advice for me? Talk to your parents, siblings, close friends, and move in with them until you are able to find an apartment and sign a lease. Talk to a divorce lawyer and see if you can use his emotional and cheating as leverage to get your house and more of your savings. Your ex is a jerk, and you deserve better. Bipolar disorder doesn't mean I get to cheat on you and make you and my daughter feel like crap. I have an older sister, she's 27, who is married and has been trying for 2 years to have a baby. Her and her husband have gone into thousands of dollars of debt and finally got pregnant with IVF. And my sister was able to carry the pregnancy until 22 weeks, when she had a placental abruption. The hospital she delivered at refused to do any life-saving techniques for my niece. They did something called comfort care, and my niece passed away a couple hours ago with her mom and dad holding her. She was super loved, and even though I didn't get to meet her, I cried when my brother-in-law told me the news because I wanted to be there for them. My sister and I don't have parents. We were mostly raised in the foster care system. We've always had just each other, and that's it. My fiancé and I have been together for 2 years, engaged for a little over 6 months. We started living together when we got engaged. I was super excited to start planning my wedding because my sister would be my maid of honor and my niece would probably end up being the flower girl. I was so excited to be an aunt. My fiancé is still on the fence of whether or not he wants kids, but he never seemed to mind me talking about my sister and her pregnancy. If he did, he never told me. We have an imbalance in our relationship right now because I was let go from my job due to downsizing. I get unemployment, but it's barely enough to cover my share of the bills. Some months I come up short and need his help covering stuff. In the past, he said some hurtful stuff. But I also have to acknowledge he is under stress with his job too, so I try not to take it personally. When my brother-in-law called me to tell me about my niece's passing, it broke my heart. I know he and my sister are devastated because they tried so hard for a baby. I did some math and still came up short for a plane ticket. They live a 16-hour drive away. And I hung my head in shame and asked my fiancé if he could help me cover the rest, and I would pay him back as soon as possible. He said no, which I would have understood if he just left it at that. But no, he got angry because I asked for help and started yelling. He said, "Why should I give a duck about a dead baby? And maybe if your sister went to church more, God wouldn't have K'd her baby." And ended it by yelling, "Duck you," at me and slamming our bedroom door so hard he knocked photos off the wall. He then came back out a few minutes later and got in my face and yelled at me, telling me I am not allowed to go to help my sister, and he would make sure it didn't happen. I think this is a justifiable reason to leave him. This isn't the first time. He's blown up on me before, but this has been the worst time ever. I don't know what I did wrong. I really don't. I pay my share of the bills on time. I've even gone to a food bank before to make our groceries stretch, much to his dismay. He thinks people will look down on us for using a food bank and has called me a peasant in a joking, non-joking way. I don't feel entitled to his time or money. I just wanted some help to be there for my sister because I know if the roles were reversed, she would be there for me. I just don't know what to do. I want to be there for my sister. I want my fiancé to understand where I'm coming from. I feel sick, like there's a rock in the pit of my stomach over it. I could use any advice on the matter. Huge thanks in advance. Go to the funeral and never return. I think it's safe to say he's shown his true colors, OP. If my husband reacted this way over a situation such as this, I would leave him. My perception of him would be ruined, and I'd never see him the same way again. When I was 22, I got pregnant with a baby, and the baby's father booted it. I told him and never saw him again. That left me and my daughter Mel alone together. It was hard, but I love being everything to my daughter. I was able to take a night program, got a job, and took a huge gamble and asked this really nice guy on a date. It paid off, and 3 years together and we got married, just this past April. A first for both of us. Okay, so far so good. I dated my significant other for a year before I introduced him to Mel. Mel wasn't sure about him at first. She was nervous and would hide or was abnormally quiet. But that quickly changed. Mel liked having my significant other's attention. It was a new person to play with, and Mommy is boring, rule maker, not as funny. So they grew quite close, quite quickly. Once we moved in together, Mel stuck her toe in the water and would call him anything but his name. Peeps, Paw, Meow Meow, etc. Then it was, hey da, and then it was just daddy. From that point forward, she's been effectively glued to him. She wants her dad to dry her hair after the bath. She wants her dad to take her to the doctor. She wants her dad to help her. I said, oh shoot, I broke something. and she just said, don't worry. Daddy will be here soon and take care of it. Having a husband that dotes on a daughter that isn't his own is amazing. It's also amazing to have a daughter who loves my significant other. Things aren't so bad. But my family won't let me forget the sins of my past. We're a waspy group, and getting knocked up was a huge fail. Despite making it through night school to become a nurse, I am always the duck up in their eyes. I've been told this as many ways as possible. My daughter's bio dad is Mexican, so she's darker than us, and while they love her, they frequently point out that my poor decision-making skills led to a child being brought into this world. My mother takes shots at me. She openly lamented that post-baby vaginas are dangly, and then elbowed my husband. She mocked my ability to be a nurse. My husband had a hernia, so I took time off to care for him after surgery. He loved having his sidekick hang with him while I cared for him. My mother visited and asked if he needed a home care service to properly look after him. She'll tell him how hard it must be to accept us, me and our daughter, as is, and she understands his struggle. If I make a mistake, incredibly minor, my sisters will tisk me and remind me that I always make mistakes. My sisters and mother will tell my husband what a great guy he is for his charity. My significant other's parents are also waspy, but different. They called recently and asked that I come to their house with my daughter, alone. My significant other can't travel because of work this month, and they want the opportunity to spend a week with me and their granddaughter so they can bond. The idea of spending a week in California with my in-laws sounds relaxing and fun. Dinner with my parents? I get nauseous. We've booked a trip coming up in a few days. This has caused tension with my family. I keep my parents' family in my life because they love their granddaughter, niece. They love to see her and spend an afternoon with her. On the other hand, I can't live with more of their BS. I'm closer to my in-laws than my own parents and can't handle more of my family's crap. I don't want to go no contact with them, but every time I laid down the law or fought back, it's been met with indifference and a refusal to change. I'm coming to a breaking point. My husband will support me 100% and thinks I need to do what's right for my sanity. I'm just not sure I'm ready to do that. Ideas? Okay, your family isn't just hurting you, they're hurting your daughter too. As she grows older and understands more, the damage they're doing will get deeper and more permanent. Here are some of the ways they're hurting her. Teaching her that being born was a bad thing and a mistake that you made. Implying that the dad she loves so much is only with her out of charity because being with you guys is unpleasant. Making her feel bad about how she looks different. Saying mean things about the mommy she loves. Hearing people you care about routinely tear down someone you love while no one defends them can really mess with a child's head. An adult can rationalize that they're just a-holes. But a child learns, there's something wrong with mommy, probably also me. We deserve to be treated like this. The more attached she gets to them, the more weight she's going to give to their toxic messages. Having no family is better than having such a toxic family. Cut contact for your little girl's sake before she internalizes the message of worthlessness they're projecting on her. I've been together with my fiancé for 2 years. We got engaged 6 months ago, and our wedding date is set October of 2021. So, I will make this a quick story since the title says it all. I took her away on a mini getaway this Memorial weekend, up to the mountains, while the cabin's internet was out due to storms. Therefore, we did not have cell service or internet due to being in the mountains. She started crying because she missed her mom and dad, and she did this 3 times during the weekend. This was not our first vacation together. We have done around 8 out-of-state trips. This really bothered me because it made me feel funny, like maybe she didn't want to be here with me and would rather be at home with her parents. And it made me think that she couldn't be away from them. I told her there are going to be times in our life that when we're not going to see our parents. I felt as if I was not number one, and this will grow into a bigger problem in the hindsight of getting married, and her parents will always come before me. This worries me because it is going to be like I don't have a wife when we get married. She is going to worry so much about her parents and what they are doing and visiting them every day. A snip of the future. Her parents know we are buying a house in a new area that have new construction homes. So now they said they are going to sell theirs after we move and buy one close to us. It's only 45-minute drive away from where they live now. I also have a cruise booked for us in October for a week, and she begged her parents to come. So now guess what? They are now going on a cruise with us. I would put a halt on any wedding planning or home buying until this is fully addressed. Because if you don't, you will have your in-laws at your house and on your vacations all the time. At 27, it is not even remotely emotional healthy to be so attached to her parents that she can't be out of contact with them for 3 days. I'd tell her that. While you understand she is close with her family and don't want to get in the way of that, you also can't be in a marriage where your wife is more emotionally reliant on her parents than she is you, and that not being able to be out of contact with them for just a few days makes you concerned about your future as a couple, because you want to marry her, not her and her parents. Ask if she'd be willing to go to therapy to learn how to exist a bit more independently of her parents, while developing a more adult-level, healthier relationship with them. If she won't, then you need to decide if you really want to spend the rest of your life with your in-laws living up your butt and interfering in your relationship, and potentially interfering in your future parenting.